second lecture on the doctrines of eschatology. Now, this time, we will study how those doctrines developed in the church history. This is very important for us to understand. Now, always as I did here, have a historical line here. Okay, now you can see BC 4 is the birth of Jesus. According to Gregorian calendar, which is a Western calendar today, Western calendar. Gregorian calendar was made by Roman Catholics. It was around, right after around 1582, 86, around this time here. Previously, the calendar was a Julian calendar. But in 1582 or 3-4 here, around that time, Roman Catholic changed the calendar, what we call Gregorian calendar. Okay, under the Gregorian calendar, we cannot make year of the birth of Jesus 0. You better write it down, all this, to keep teaching your people, because the people will often ask, why is BC 4? Why not 0? Because of the calendar system. It's a Gregorian calendar now, which we are using as Western calendar. Okay, so the calendar that we are using is Gregorian calendar. Under that system, we cannot make the year of birth of Jesus 0. There are 3 theories on the birth of the year of the birth of Jesus under the Gregorian calendar: BC 6 theory, and BC 2 theory, BC 4 theories. But I might as well go for BC 4 theories, okay, which is very common to everyone. So you better be with me. BC 4 theory. Now, under that system, AD 30 is the year crucifixion of Jesus, resurrection of Jesus, and ascension of Jesus. Now, right after that, first church was planted. Jerusalem church was planted in Jerusalem in AD 30. From that time on, all the way to 590, we called what? All the way, this is called early church period. Okay, right here. Early church period. Here. Now, from Jerusalem church up until year 100, 12 disciples and his followers, his students, and Paul and his disciples. All these people taught eschatology to their disciples and their people. Okay? Based on the Bible references, right here, Matthew 24, 30 to 31. 1 Corinthians 15, 53. 1 Thessalonians 4, 14 to 17. You can refer this to later at home. Revelation 19, 11 to 16. So when you teach, you just go over these Bible references together with your people. Now, these references indicate Jesus will appear in air, and his people, some of them will be raptured, and later they will join in the wedding feast. Then Jesus will come back, what we call the second coming of Jesus. It's an appearance, every appearance, and 7-year tribulations, and the bridal festival, and Jesus will come down to this earth as the second coming King of Kings. That stories are recorded right here in these Bible references. Okay? So now these people, 12 disciples and his students, and Paul and his disciples taught Jesus will come back soon. Second coming of Jesus. Okay? Then, thereafter, 100 to 313. 313 is the year. You are aware of that, okay? That's the acknowledgement of Christianity by Constantine first. Roman Empire. Until this time, Christians had been under the persecution by the Roman Empire. We call them catacomb Christians. This is a catacomb Christian period, or catacomb church period. What do you mean by catacomb? It's an underground cemetery. Okay? Catacomb means underground cemetery, underground tombs. Christians practiced their faith, okay, not openly in public, but most of them went down to catacomb and worshipped and built up their own Christian community there and served the Lord Jesus. So we call that catacomb church period up until 313. Now, here, Constantine first just acknowledged Christianity as a formal accepted religion. But later, his successor here, Emperor Theodosius. Okay, this is Constantine. Theodosius, number one, first. He officially adopted Christianity as empire's official religion, abolishing Babylonian religion. They used to serve Babylonian religion. But this is the moment in which Roman Empire abolished Babylonian religion and adopted what religion? Christianity. So 380, official year of Christianity of Roman Empire. Here, the thereafter, 590 is the year Roman Catholic Church accepted first Pope in their church. They installed first Pope. That's we call the papal system. Okay? Papal system. You Filipinos are familiar with that. Okay? So 590. So historians designate from here all the way to 590. They call what? Early church period. Early church period. Now, here, after the acknowledgement of Christianity and after the official adoption of Christianity as their empire's religion, you should know that in the Roman Empire is not only Rome. Roman Empire was so vast. It's a Roman Empire started at BC 63 to 476 AD. Roman Empire. Very long empire. See over here, 476, the Roman Empire stopped. Okay. However, they just reduced some of the territories, but the Roman Empire officially stopped right here. Okay, let me tell you. Now, you see here, Roman Empire was so big, very big. You know, Roman Empire, very big. You know all this map here. This is over here is Rome. Over here is Constantinople. It's Rome. Would you draw this map? Constantinople. Over here is Antioch. Over here is Jerusalem. And over here is Alexandria, Egypt. Now, upon the official adoption, okay, within the Roman Empire, 5 major churches, okay, by region planted. 5 major churches. Over here is Roman Catholic Church. And in Greek, we call it Constantinople Church or Greek Orthodox Church. Greek Orthodox Church. And also in Syria, in Antioch, Syrian Orthodox Church was developed. And in Jerusalem Church. Number 5, in Alexandria, Egyptian Coptic Orthodox Church. Egyptian Coptic Orthodox Church. So now, Roman Catholic Church, all others called Orthodox churches. Up until here, these starting from Jerusalem church all the way to these Roman Catholics, Greek, Syrian, Orthodox, Jerusalem, Egyptian, Coptic church, all these people, their eschatology was, what was it? It's historical pre-millennialism. Historical pre-millennialism. Okay? We will study later more in detail, but I'm just giving you overview. Historical overview. Now, starting 590, Roman Catholic Church and these Orthodox churches started with a new eschatological doctrine. New. Abolishing, let me say again, abolishing, denying pre-historical millennialism. Historical premillennialism. They say it's no good. It's a heretic. Heretic means, you know the meaning. It's a heretic teaching. So Roman Catholic Church, under their leadership, along with these Orthodox churches, came up with new eschatological doctrine called amillennialism. See here, amillennialism. As a result, Roman Catholic Church, Greek Orthodox, Syrian Orthodox, Jerusalem Church, Egyptian Orthodox, all followed amillennialism, denying pre-millennialism. How long? Up until when? Up until today. Up until today. So it started, amillennialism was started right here, right here. In other words, starting 590 to all the way, it's a medieval period. Okay? Middle age, medieval period. Now, Reformation come, 1517. Reformation. In the Reformation, Protestant churches appeared. Denominations, what we call Reformed denomination. And Presbyterian denomination. It's a Reformed denomination was formed by Calvin. Presbyterian denomination was formed by John Knox. John Calvin and John Knox. These denominations, they accepted 100% of amil. They learned from Roman Catholics and Orthodox churches. that they share the same eschatological doctrines. Okay. Upon the Reformation, rebirth of historical premillennialism. Rebirth of historical premillennialism. So, from 590 to 15, for 1,000 years' time, historical premillennialism had been disappeared. Okay, write it down that. Okay, for 1,000 years' time, no historical premillennialism. Only amillennialism was prevailing. But now, upon the Reformation, rebirth of historical premillennialism. Okay, out of Protestant denominations. So now here, Lutheran people, half of the Lutherans followed. And Anglicans, around 1/3. And Baptist, around half, followed. They followed newly developed historical premillennialism. Okay? And Congregationalist, it's very long. Congregationalist, around half. Half means half historical premillennialism, and remaining half is what? Amiel. So it's mixed. Okay? Now, the Methodist, I would say around 1/3. Now church began to share different eschatological position within their denominations. Okay? Between amiel and historical. That's the beginning of, churches' mixture of their end-time doctrines. So let me repeat again. 100% Roman Catholics, amiel. 100% Greek Orthodox and all Orthodox churches, amiel. But upon the Reformation, still Reformed Church, but Calvin and Presbyterians, Knox, they hold 100% amiel. Okay, so this is what we call Reform theology. Reformed theology. Even today, Reformed theology. Reformed theology means amiel. A little bit complicated. That's why I speak slowly, repeat, repeat, repeat. Now, later, in 1800, now, new end-time doctrine arises. It's a post-millennialism. It's by liberal people. Liberal people. You will study later more in detail about what is a post-millennialism. I'm just telling you, I'm giving you overview. Okay? Now, many Amiel people transferred to post-mill. Post-mill is a liberal theology. So many Amiel people, let me say again, for instance, Roman Catholic people and Orthodox people, many, majority of them, they left Amiel and joined post-mill. Majority of them. I would say almost 90%. Okay, almost 90% of Roman Catholics and Orthodox churches say bye-bye to Amiel and joined what mill? Post-mill. Okay? Not only that, many, I would say more than 50%, more than above 50%, all Protestant denominations, okay, all Protestant denominations left their position and joined what? Post-mill. So post-mill became prevailing power on the doctrine of eschatology, what we call liberal theology. That was started in 1800 up until now. So now we have more majority Roman Catholics and majority Orthodox churches, even majority Protestant denominations, okay, followed post-millennialism. It's very much the majority following doctrine today is post-millennialism. That is a liberal theology. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. Now, in 1900, with this situation, new doctrine arose. That is dispensationalism. Now, these people, they came from historical premillennialism. Okay? So they are the descendant of historical premillennialism people. But they came with little bit different idea. They are pro-Israel. They are pro-Israel. In other words, they said, hey, you guys here, post-mill people, all these amill people, you historical premiers, you guys, you treat Israel people against the Bible teaching. Okay? Now, you should realize the fact that Israelis are God's chosen people. You have been wrong. Therefore, now we have to repent ourselves. Let's go for pro-Israel. And we want to redesign the Bible in favor of Israel. That Bible is what? Scofield Reference Bible. Now, they came from what doctrine? Historical premill. In other words, there are two, among the four, you can see premillennialism people are historical premillennialism people. Would you write it down? Historical premillennialism. So there are two premillennialism people. Historical and dispensational. They are premillennialist, what we call. Let me repeat again. Historical and dispensational people are premillennialist, what we call. Now, amill and post-mills they are in common. They are not premillennialists. They are amillennialist people. Got it? They are amill background. No millennial kingdom, literal kingdom. I will teach you later. So there are two major divisions, two sections. Let me repeat again. There is literal 1,000 years millennium kingdom. Believers are historical people and dispensational people. Okay? And there is no such a literal 1,000 years. It's 1,000 years is just symbolic. It's a long period. That belief system, people are, who are they? Amill and post-mill. The symbolic interpretation and literal interpretation, it's a different. Yeah. Literal 1,000-year interpretation peoples are historical and dispensationalist. And symbolic 1,000 years interpretation peoples are amill and post-mill. Yeah. A little bit complicated. But you should know all this. If you are a pastor, you should know all this. Based on this foundation, I will develop theology. I've been teaching this foundation all the way. So it's still, I'm building up the foundation. To set Christians and Christian leaders are very weak, very much the lack of foundation. I can notice that. Okay, now here again, how did they develop? Who are they? 4 doctrines. Okay, how those 4 doctrines developed? You see, from the early church period right up until here, what doctrines was prevailing? Historical premillennialism. Okay? But right after that, under the Roman Catholic leadership, they started to denounce premillennialism and building up their own doctrine called amillennialism. Okay? Because that was built by the Roman Empire and Roman Catholic Church, all these Orthodox churches followed their teachings. Up until here, Reformation. Now, new Protestant churches appeared here, but Reformed theology people, we call Reformed Church and Presbyterian churches, followed what? Amiel. Yet, rebirth of the historical premill occurred, okay, upon that Reformation. Now, near half of, or 1/3 of these Protestant denomination peoples are now joining historical premill. That historical premill was updated and upgraded doctrine from the previous historical premils. We will go over later. Then that doctrine has been developed up until now. I am one of them. Okay? In the midst of that, 1800, that is the period of industrial revolution. Industrial revolution. Okay? And rational Christians appeared. Rational theologians. And liberal theologians appeared. That's the year 1800. At the same time, I did not say, starting right here, among these historical premill people sent out missionaries. Starting 1800. You see, instead of Amiel people, historical premill Christians believed the second coming of Jesus is very near, and prior to that, we should obey the Great Commission of Jesus. So these people, especially the Baptist people, began to dispatch missionaries to the unreached people's areas. That the first Protestant missionary out of Baptist people from England to India, who is the name? William Carey. William Carey. You heard about his name. William Carey. Okay? arrived in Calcutta, India, and printed a Hindu Bible. So we call William Carey is the father of modern Protestant church. Father of modern Protestant church. See, out of his ministries, many missionaries appeared. He challenged the American young people and British young people. So those two countries sent out quite a many missionaries. But all those missionaries carried historical premill. Write it down. William Carey was a historical premillennialist because of the doctrine teaches the urgency of mission, urgency of evangelizing unreached people. That was one of the key missionary mandates messages developed by premill people, especially historical premill people. They said, coming of Jesus is near. Let us go out and preach the gospel as far as possible. That is God's mandate. Okay? So, modern day missionary movement started with historical premillennialist. So in your country, Philippines, for instance, you can see early Christian fathers in your country had historical premillennialism. Although Roman Catholics in your country had what? They have what? Amiel. Now, as the 1900 comes, as I say, new premillennialism called dispensationalism emerged. Dispensationalism. The dispensationalist people are very strong in mission. Stronger than historical premill people. So it started in America. And in America, 1900, starting from that moment, so-called many mission-minded dispensational background leaders appeared and trained the people and sent out, dispatched out to mission field. Now, one of the well-known person is D.L. Moody. You know Moody? Yeah. Moody, D.L. Moody is dispensationalist. Not only Moody, many. And in Moody had his school called Moody Bible College in Chicago. Out of that college, many American missionaries trained and sent out. This starting 1900. And I'm talking about dispensationalists, okay? And in Texas, in Dallas Theological Seminary. And in LA, in Biola Theological Seminary. That some say a Talbot. Have you heard the name? Yeah. That's all famous schools in America. People out of these organizations sent out many missionaries. At the time, they sent missionaries here in Korea. Even Presbyterian Church sent out missionary in Korea. First missionary was Presbyterian missionary's name by the name of Underwood. And in Methodist, Appenzeller. Underwood and Appenzeller. Underwood was Presbyterian, and Appenzeller was Methodist. Although they were Presbyterian and Methodist, their end-time theology was dispensationalism. Okay? So Korean church in the beginning, almost every Christian had that dispensationalistic end-time doctrines. Now, these people sent missionaries to China. Chinese church, I would say more than at the time, almost 100% of Chinese church Christians in the early days all possessed dispensationalism. Why? Because the missionaries at those days, even Japan, even the Philippines, even Indonesia, so those people, they sent out dispensationalistic doctrine-possessed people. At the same time, army of people also sent their missionaries later. And historical people sent out their missionaries later. And post-mill people sent out their missionaries later. And also, many pastors and went to Europe and America and Canada, learned the theology and carrying their own way of end-time theology. Ended up with what? Ended up with a mixture. Mixture. Therefore, it is very necessary for all of us as a leader to recognize historical development. Okay? Do you believe that? Yeah, it's important. I don't ask you, those viewers, okay, to hold any particular doctrines. You do it whatever you feel comfortable. However, you should know picture, whole picture, historical sense. I will continue on next lecture, okay, with this kind of, backgrounds. I will continue.